successful live last time, I would say. And I'll answer some more questions from me, an ex addict, Gary the Expert. If you are struggling with addiction, well, this is going to be a fantastic place for you because 1 second, I'll be back on screen in a moment. All right, I'll set myself up correctly here in a second, and we'll get firing away at these questions. I know if you're watching back on the replay, it's going to be already basically. I'm already going to be 30 seconds in here. All right. Close my door here. All right. Start that, and we'll get that live as well. All right. Anyone there? Definitely should have been a bit more prepared for this, but yeah, let's get stuck into it right now. All right. So, answering addiction questions by an ex-addict, that is me. I go by Gary. I am Gary the Expert. If you have an addiction right now, get some questions in and I will answer them as best as possible during this live stream. If you're struggling with addiction, get some questions in. I will answer them to the best of my ability throughout this video. Also, download the Bulletproof Recovery app on the App Store. It is literally an app that you can download right now that I've created for recovery and addiction. So let's delve into these and some more of these questions right now. Answering questions by me, an ex-addict, Gary the Expert. Number one, what's the difference between addiction, dependence, and bad habits? Addiction, in my mind, is this idea of where you are struggling and cannot stop. You might think that you can stop, but then when you try to stop, you cannot stop. So there's an element of, let's say you have, you're using corn. I'll use that kind of nicing phrasing, corn, yeah, doing this type of stuff. Or you're using a substance like Coke, and you say you can stop, you think you can stop. So this is question number one. What's the difference between addiction, dependence? You think you can stop, but you're not actually stopping. So that would be the first answer. And by the way, if you have any questions around addiction, you're struggling with addiction, get the comments in. I will answer them. I also have an app, Bulletproof Recovery. So number one, addiction would be classed as that you cannot stop, even though you might think you can stop. Dependency, what's dependency? Well, you can have a chemical dependency. A chemical dependency, for example, is like heroin or maybe even alcohol, because if you stop using those things in terms of opioids, you might actually have more damage by stopping. So dependency is that your body's craving and you need this. You need this substance for functioning and for health. That's a dependency on a chemical. You don't have dependency on gambling. You don't have dependency on behaviors like corn as well. You might have a dependency on those things. And bad habits. I have a bad habit biting my nails, and bad habit could be seen as an addiction. So those two up there, addiction and bad habits, I almost put those things into the same bracket for me. That's number one. Again, if you've got any questions or you're struggling with addiction, let them know. Follow me on Instagram at Gary the Expert. Download the Bulletproof Recovery app. Bulletproof Recovery on the App Store. It will help you with your addiction recovery. All right, number two. How do I know if it's a real addiction or it's just a stressful period? Well, you know it's a real addiction if you cannot stop using the substance. Just like I mentioned on the last one. So, or just a stressful period. It might just be a stressful period, but are you coping with your substance? So a lot of clients that I meet, they would be reactionary. Something bad happens, they go to drink alcohol. Something bad happens, they go to use the substance. Something bad happens, they go and they do this. Something good happens, they go to use this. Something good happens, they go to use this. They never do it out of a good environment. They do it out of a negative reaction. Even though they think their friend invited them, they think that it's a good time, it's Friday night. It's actually a stressful period in their life that's causing them to push them towards that addiction. So how do I know if it's a real addiction? If it's going on for multiple weeks, that could be months, years, and you cannot stop it on your own. That's how you know it's a real addiction. All right, number three. Why can't I stop when I genuinely want to? I actually love that question. Why do I love that question? Because, and by the way, if you got any questions while you're listening, I see there's a few viewers here. I appreciate it. Hit the like button. Follow me on Instagram, Gary the Expert. Also hit the subscribe button. That'd be very appreciated. Number three. Why can't I stop even when I want to? I love this question because consciously, every client that I ever meet, they always want to stop. Every single one wants to stop. Every single one knows the substance is bad. They all know the drug is bad. So why can't they stop? Well, if they know the substance is bad, they want to stop and they can't stop, why can't they stop? Well, look at my fingers right now. I'll go a little bit woo-woo on you and show you a bit of an insight into working with me. I'm not thinking about moving my fingers right now. I'm not thinking about moving my fingers. I'm not thinking about pumping blood through my body right now. I'm not thinking about moving my lips. Right? I'm not thinking about those things. So while I think that thinking is the most important thing, because I think I don't want to take the addiction, I'm not thinking because I'm not pumping blood through my chest right now. I appreciate that, Rainer Media. All right, I appreciate that. I'm not thinking about pumping the blood through my chest, colors in my eyes, my vocal cords moving, my heartbeat. I'm not thinking about those things. So number 3, why can't I stop when I genuinely want to? Rationally, consciously, you want to stop. Subconsciously, your body's almost dependent on it. Subconsciously, you're addicted to it. Subconsciously, you think it's good for you. The substance good for you. You get more productive. You feel more healthier. You feel happier. You feel better. That's a subconscious belief that you would have, and that's why you can't stop. So consciously, you say you don't want to use. Every addict I meet doesn't want to use. Every addict I talk to knows the substance bad, but yet again, their beliefs. I'm not thinking about moving my fingers right now, so I can think I'm the happiest person in the world. I can think I don't ever want to use the substance. I can think whatever I want to think. But if my body is dependent, my body's walking over there, my body's putting this up to my nose, my body's putting this into my body, well, then that's my subconscious mind, and I need to retrain my subconscious mind. I appreciate it, Rainer. I'm grateful that I have a very awesome platform that does my thumbnails for me, so I appreciate it. All right, number 4. In addiction, is addiction a disease, a choice, or trauma-driven or mental health-related? Trauma-driven, Gabor Mate would say it's trauma-driven. Gabor Mate, expert in addiction for like 50 years, so he knows what he's talking about when he says trauma-driven. That's okay, Rainier. That's okay. I appreciate it. It's classed as a disease. That's absolute fact. Addiction is classed as a disease, a mental disease. That is what it is classed as. It is a choice as well as a disease, as well as trauma-driven, as well as a mental health-related. I do put it down to a lot of trauma. And trauma could be big T's, it could be small T's. Big T's would be all your family died, plane crash, boat crash, burned, whatever it is. and small T's might be a little bit of a compounding effect. You're not good enough, you're not good enough, you're not good enough, you're not good enough. You did it wrong, you can't do it, you can't do it, you can't do it. That built up over time to where you just say, I'll go use this thing. This makes me feel powerful. This makes me feel connected. This makes me feel good. The substance, Coke, for example. All right, so it is a disease factually. It is a choice unconsciously. It is trauma-driven unconsciously, and it's absolutely mental health related. All right, number 5. What are the early signs of turning into addiction? Again, this idea of where you're struggling to stop. This idea where it's multiple times after a period of usage where you feel like you're getting worse, you're taking more on a weekend, and you cannot stop, you cannot resist going backwards. All right, so that is early signs of where you're taking more, and you feel like it's your solution. You feel like it's going to help you. You think the addiction is going to help you. You think it's going to cure you. You think it's going to improve you. All right, so there's some subtle signs for why in early signs that it's turning into addiction. Again, hit the like button on the stream. I really appreciate that. If you have any questions, drop a question in there. Repent if you haven't yet. I agree. Absolutely repent. Have you struggled with addiction? Matt Shalani, Tai Boizoya. Where are you from as well? That's an interesting name. But I appreciate it. All right. Why do triggers feel so automatic and powerful? Well, urges as well as triggers are so automatic and powerful. South Africa, also, brother. It's nice to see you. I hope you're doing well down there. I believe you're an hour ahead of me, and that's all good. All right, why do triggers feel so automatic and powerful? Well, they are automatic. Why are they automatic? Because this is where we go back a couple of questions, like old traumas, and this again feels woo-woo, but the reality is you've been programmed years and years and years, from 5 years old, 6 years old, 10 years old, 20 years old. Well done for being baptized. 15-year-old. Every single year you remember, but it's all stored in the back of your mind. So some words are going to trigger you. Some situations are going to trigger you. Some sentences are going to trigger you. Some people are going to trigger you, and that is unconscious because it's just like you can't predict those things. You can't know what your brain associates to a certain thing. So if I just say the word like holidays, what does your mind associate to the word holidays? And that is a trigger. Right? Your mind's triggered off positive thought process when it comes to the word holidays. So your triggers feel automatic because they will always be automatic, 100%. Powerful, well, that's the amount of value we have towards something. So the amount of value I have to the substance, then I'm going to have more power of the urge, more power of my trigger. You can deal with those by writing down your triggers. You can deal with those with consciously thinking less powerful thoughts around them and not thinking that you need the substance. You need it, you need it, you need it. That's a terrible sentence that I hear frequently. It's not real. It's not real. Did you ever struggle with addiction? Matt Shalani? I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, but I appreciate it. All right. Number 7. What's a difference between an urge, a craving, and a compulsion? Well, I look at those as very much the same, apart from compulsion. An urge and a craving is a similar feeling, and if you want to get help with those, buy an urge surfing pack online. I'm not going to have them right here with you, but buy an urge surfing, it's called. It's very useful for when you have urges. Compulsion is literally like your body viscerally reacts and you cannot resist and stop a compulsion. It's that's completely unconscious as a compulsion. An urge and a craving is something that you're thinking about. Oh my god, that could be nice. That might be it. Oh yeah, look at this, look at that. I'm getting triggered from walking down by the pub. I'm walking, I'm thinking of Friday night. A compulsion, completely automatic. All right, number 8. Do I need to hit rock bottom to change? Absolutely not. Does it help? I would say yes, but rock bottom can always go further. So it doesn't mean that rock bottom is like rock bottom. Your rock bottom can always be worse. Always be worse. Let me just fix my screen here. All right. Your rock bottom can be worse. My rock bottom can be worse. And by the way, if you're just tuning in, click the like button. I'm answering some questions. If you've got any questions around addiction, I will try to help you in the session. I'll talk to you a little bit. Leave the Bulletproof Recovery app on the App Store. I really appreciate that. That'd be awesome. All right. Do I need to hit rock bottom? No, you don't need to hit rock bottom. Can your rock bottom be worse? Absolutely. We know you don't need to hit rock bottom. But what is rock bottom? Rock bottom is your belief of what rock bottom is. So if you think you're at rock bottom, then you're at rock bottom. All right. Can I recover without rehab? Can I recover without rehab? Can I just say one word and I can say, yes, you can recover without rehab? Absolutely. Because I was an addict, but I'm not an addict anymore. And I didn't go to rehab. So does that mean that I can recover? Yes. You can. I can. Anyone can recover without rehab. They can recover without AA. They can recover without NA, CA, anything like those. It's absolutely fine. All right. Number 10. Do I need full abstinence? Or can moderation work? So if we're talking about alcohol here, because I don't believe in moderation when it comes to Coke, right? I don't believe in moderation when it comes to these other substances. With alcohol, can I do moderation? Yes, you can do moderation with alcohol, even though it might be hard at the start. You should work with someone while you're going to drinking. Why? Well, you should go and work with someone when it comes to drinking, because when you're quitting, I would recommend quitting for a couple of weeks and then going back into using slowly and slowly and slowly. Don't jump back in, especially if you have a lot of doubts and concerns. All right. All right. What's the next question? The next question is, what does withdrawal feel like, and when is it medically dangerous? That's an interesting question when it comes to like alcohol or opioids, and when you have a dependency on those things, an alcohol dependency, and when you really see your body vibrating, shaking, sweating, and in a really really chaotic, coughing, getting sick. These are all classic signs of where it's medically getting to a place where you need and you should get some support. Withdrawals themselves, they can feel like lack of energy, anhedonia, which is like almost depression. It can feel like having no food, no taste, no overconsumption of food. You can have these ideas of lack of sex drive. You could also have irritation, irritability. Tons of withdrawals would be like that, and they can last from 1 to 2 weeks, give or take, on your substance. 1 to 2 weeks. What's the next question? Next question: how long does the brain and body to stabilize after stopping? Well, fantastic question. If you look at my app on the Bulletproof Recovery app and you look at brain scans of clients and people that are going through addiction, if you're a heavy user of Coke, for example, over a few years, and you're using it like very frequently, weekly, for example, it will take about a year for your brain get to zero or net zero or back online with dopamine. You're never ever going to forget that you were using the substance, so there's always going to be part of your mind that has the elements of Coke there. But the dopamine centers are way back, basically normal, if not normal, they are. Right? And that's after a year's time. You'll see massive change in 6 months. You see massive change at 10 months, and you might even be there at 10 months. But in 12 months, you will see You'll see. No, was it your brain and body to stabilize? Stabilize. That's not actually fully recover, but stabilize. You should see in 4 weeks of sobriety, you're going to see major stabilize. You're going to have better sleep, more energy. You're going to have much happier emotions, and you might have some challenging ones. But yeah, you look on the Bulletproof Recovery app, download it on the App Store, you're going to see it. It's a sober tracker. It tells you from day one, day four, when your liver's coming back online, when your kidneys are coming back online, how your dopamine centers are coming back online. That's literally downloaded in the App Store right now. And if you're new here on the stream, hit the like button. I'd really appreciate it. All right, what's the next one? Why do I feel anxious, depressed, numb when I quit? Anhedonia was a sentence I just mentioned, or a word I mentioned. That is a lack of feeling of anything, a feeling of nothingness. You might have anxiety because you used to always do this thing every weekend. You did this thing. You just took this away from your life. Now it's weekend and you don't know what to do with yourself. You're lost. So that's a challenge. That's why you'd feel anxious. You feel depressed because maybe you're missing out on FOMO, because you're at home, you're not doing the drugs, and you feel lonely. So there's another reason why you feel depressed. You feel numb because you kept numbing and depressing and suppressing all of your emotions for all of that time. Next question. What's the difference between a lapse and a relapse? I class them as the same thing. I don't see a difference in a lapse and a relapse. And what is a relapse? To go into that, a relapse is where after a period of time, you have used the substance that you said you didn't want to use or you weren't going to use. So, for example, if I just taken Coke, I said this weekend I'm not going to go use Coke, and then I go and use Coke, that's a relapse. What are the most common relapse patterns and how do I interrupt them? What are the most common relapse patterns? Friday, Saturday, text message, friends, family, dealer, FOMO. These are all some triggers that I know off the top of my head. Literally, that happen every single week. Guaranteed. Alcohol being another massive one. Your best friend being another one. Your best friend is someone you trust, you love, but yet he's using the substance, they're using the substance. The likelihood you're going to use the substance is very high because they are. All right, what's next? How to rebuild trust with family, partner, and friends. Becoming sober, you actually build trust in your friends and your family. So you build trust in yourself, and that trust is then manifested in those. Not will manifested, literally manifested in them. So you getting time under your belt being sober is a way for you to grow your trust. Also, if you want to talk about commitment, what do I mean by commitment? So you say to them, hey, look, I'm going to go out tonight. I'm going to be out back home at 10, and then you're actually back home to your 10. So you're sticking to your word. So you're sticking to your word, and you're getting time and sobriety. Both of those are going to rebuild trust 100% in your family, friends, and partner. All right, how do I handle social situations where people drink or use? Unfortunately, in this day and age, people are drinking all the time and using all of the time. In every pub in Ireland where I am, very blessed place, everyone is using alcohol and drinking. We're number one in the world for alcohol. In fact, we're actually number two. Czech Republic per capita is worse for alcohol. Ireland's number two. How do I handle situations? Well, this is interesting. Some people say don't go. Some people say do go. I won't go, and I wouldn't recommend going early recovery. Now, early recovery can be about 3 months, honestly. Early recovery can be 3 weeks. Some people feel like they can't miss some social situations, weddings, birthdays, Christmases, or anything like that. They can't miss those. You can, but I understand if you want to go. So how do you handle those situations? Get someone good. Stick to someone good. Stick to someone you trust. Stick to someone you love. And set up accountability with those people that you love. Tell them what you're doing. Give yourself a no way out. Burn the boats. Let them know and commit to those actions. All right, what's next? What support works best? Therapy, groups, sponsor, coach, and medication. All of course, have their own place, which is very useful. People don't like groups because they don't like sharing in a group. They don't like seeing their problems. Sponsors, sometimes people have an idea around sponsors of like they're too old or they're too young or they don't resonate or they're very strong. That's what I've heard recently, particularly around sponsors. Therapy, coaching, medication, all very useful and healthy things to do. Therapy, I would say, is starting practice, looking back, going challenging and looking at the root causes. Coaching after therapy to improve your future, your goals, your intentions for your future. Medication would be if you I don't like the idea of medication for after like 5 years someone's using it. Some people I know is gonna be on it for the rest of their life. That's what a client has said once. And if nothing changes, nothing changes. If they believe they're gonna be on medication for the rest of their life, well, they're gonna be on medication for the rest of their life, and that's lack of skills, lack of coping tools, lack of a plan, and just in all generalities. Absolutely with medication though, by the way, it's very useful for a period of time, I would say. All right. How do I deal with shame, guilt without spiraling? On your recovery journey, you're going to have shame. On your recovery journey, you're going to have guilt. On your recovery journey, you're going to have regret. On your recovery journey, you're going to have an unbelievable amount of fear, doubt, concerns, shame, guilt, regret, boredom. You're going to have all of those emotions. So, number 19, how do you deal with them? I would say recognize these patterns. They are going to happen. Got a thing called the shame shivers. The shame shivers is this idea where you're going through your day life, an image just hits you randomly, and it's an image that you're just like, oh my god, I hate this. Oh my god, I never want to see that again. Oh my god, I can't believe I've done that. Oh my god, it's this person that time. Oh my god, that's a shame shiver. A shame shiver is something that you will face early on recovery, and it's gonna happen multiple times. You've messed up. You're an addict, so if you've messed up. So then, if you're an addict and you messed up, you're gonna have these ideas of you messing up. So they are going to happen. Knowing they're happening, I would say disconnect yourself or observe. So think of them as like cars going by. If they're thoughts of cars, don't jump into the car. Don't jump into the traffic and block the car. Let the cars go by. Let the thoughts go by. Let them breathe. All right. The shame and guilt. Coping strategies, tools, techniques, go to therapy. Shame and guilt. That's how you will deal with those. They are gonna happen. You will feel them. So, but be okay with feeling them. Okay, be okay with feeling them because addicts use the substance to escape the negative feelings. They are going to happen, and you've got to be okay with them. Number 20. What daily routines actually keep recovery strong and long term? Well, there's a study done that if you've done 6 months of training and exercise, then you are more likely than anyone else to take up exercise for the rest of your life if you've done 6 months worth of training. Daily routines for me, I started meditating, I started journaling, I started exercising. And those things changed my life early on recovery. I did them day in, day out, day in, day out, day in, day out. And I got progress in my body, I got progress in my mind, and I was getting clear on things in my mind. And I was letting go and letting go and letting go of these things. So, what daily routine? Obviously, having a good sleep schedule, having a purpose that you can focus on or work on. If that's a family, if that's a gardening purpose, if that's a business purpose, if that's a colleague purpose, if that's a friend purpose, having a routine, having a solid purpose, right? So you got consistent sleep at a good time, which would be fantastic. Hard early recovery, purpose that you're driven, the routines of like what actual habits do you want to develop. Yeah, what habits slash skills do you want to develop on those things? Habits, skills. They could be those things that I just mentioned. They could be new skills that you want to learn. Connecting with family, friends, routines, socializing. Socializing, meeting with people that you think would be useful for you to be around is very healthy. We know that in terms of for everyone. That doesn't mind if you're an addict or you're not. It's very useful and healthy for you to do. Environment, the environment that you're in, who you're spending time with, what you do on your day of. Are you going into the pub? Are you spending time in the pub? Are you going to the park? You know, there's going to be a difference of results that you get from the environment that you go to as well. All right, so there's a list of 20 questions. If you got another question, drop them into the comments, and I'll appreciate it all day long. But with that being said, have a beautiful, blessed day. Have a beautiful, blessed evening. And I look forward. Hit a like on the video, subscribe, check out Gary the Expert on Instagram. And with that being said, I'll see you in the next live, which I really appreciate all of you being here. All right. Cheers to that viewer there. I appreciate it. See you later.